Hello and welcome to the Wargaming.net League North America for World of Tanks. My name is Dan Cho, also known as Frodan, and I'm joined on the set by two lovely hosts as well, Andre Great Torp Hangchua, as well as Randall Rukel Holcomb. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
I am doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks.
I'm doing fantastic, Frodan.
Oh, okay, so you're doing better than fine.
I am doing much better than fine because it's day number 2
That's right.
of these qualifiers.
It's day number 2 of the qualifiers, guys, where we are trying to find 4 teams this week and 4 teams in 2 weeks for our 16-team league that's going to be happening in just a couple of days. Guys, we are going to have a tournament, a $100,000 prize pool for a World of Tanks League in North America, where a lot of teams will be duking it out for the finals on August 17th and 18th, and we are really excited to get underway. We have a lot of great matches for you tonight. The 3 matches will be, the first one starting off with Nerve versus River of Blood. After that, Chimera will face the winner of the previous series. And following it up, we'll have the winner of Last Orchestra and Vultures, the team we saw last night, facing off against Lemming Mafia. The purpose of the qualifiers, of course, is to get entry into the league. It is an open qualifier. We've had lots of tournament play thus far. The round of 128 and 64 was last night, and today is the round of 32.
That's right. Only 4 teams will qualify for a total of 8 teams from the 2 qualifiers that we have. A total of 16 teams will compete for that $100,000. Man, I would love to be one of those 16 teams. Dan, I think we should start up a team, man.
Yes, and enter for the next qualifier.
Exactly.
We'll have to change all of our aliases, though. That way no one can accuse us of beating the system. I do want to introduce officially, Randall, you were off screen when you were talking before, so I want to give you a proper introduction because a man with that much sophistication and a caddy hat deserves to be recognized. Randall, how are you doing tonight? How are you feeling after day number 1? Because that was your first official broadcast, wasn't it?
I was pretty tired after day number 1, but I took a long nap, and I'm good to go today, and my hat is good to go today.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you recharged your hat as well as your energy. Guys, I do want to remind you that we're having lots of promotions going on, not just into the chat, which you guys can interact with, but we also are giving away gold throughout the night. If you tweet at WGLNA as well as chat on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/WGLNA, you have an opportunity to win up to 2,000 gold as well as premium for 7 days. Now, some of these codes that are given out will be given to new users, but most of them will be given out to people that have accounts. Doesn't matter how long you've had it. So be sure to interact with us, whether it's through Facebook, the Twitch chat, as well as Twitter.
And while you're on Twitch, don't forget to click that follow button because it'll actually notify you every single time that our cast comes up. And of course, that just gives you more chance to win more gold, man.
Cool. And the last thing we want to also remind you, there's lots of promotions going on through Wargaming as well as World of Tanks. For example, the first half of the month is on the road to the E100. Lots of cool tanks will give you 30% discount as well as 30 credit bonus, such as the E100, the E75, and the Tiger II. We'll talk more about that throughout the broadcast, but we have our first match already prepared. It's going to be Nerve versus River of Blood. River of Blood, a team that a lot of people have been having their eyes upon, especially other pros. They've been keeping a close watch upon how their play is. And considering that we saw their play yesterday, Andre, what can you expect of them today?
You know, they just played all around really, really solid. I believe they had a pretty close series as well against War and Peace, I believe. And that turned out to be really, really nice. I can't wait to see what we see from them today in the second day of qualifiers.
Cool. And it looks like we have the first map already chosen out. Is going to be Ruinberg. And Rukil, you've been closely watching and talking. You've actually set up the matches for us, so first of all, thanks, because we wouldn't have a match without you. Second of all, what can we really expect coming into game number 1?
Well, they're going to begin tank picking soon, so I don't know lineups yet. But at the very least, you know, knowing these teams, I'd expect out of the G players, the Team Nerve, I'm feeling like we're going to see something out of maybe a city push. At least I get that feeling. Those kinds of players, my familiarity with their clan as a whole, I'm guessing maybe we'll see a city side push, a lot of city play, and we might get some good corner games and city maneuvers in those streets there today. So that's me hoping there.
Yeah, if you guys don't know already, Ruinberg is a map where half of the field is open and half of it is a city. Very closed, very urban, so there's a lot of different tanks that feature better city fights and better open fights. We're going to see in the tank selection how these teams are choosing to run. Are they both going to go city? Are both of them going to go open? Or are we going to have one of each?
Yeah, actually, I'm in the lobby right now, and I see a lot of different tanks already kind of chosen, but they're still not completely finished. So why don't we take a quick commercial break and get ready for the first game of the day, Nerve versus River of Blood. When we come back, this is WGLNA World of Tanks. And welcome back, everyone, to WGLNA. We're getting ready for our first game between Nerve and River of Blood. Before we do that, let's check in back with the map in Ruinberg. Rukiel is going to give us a quick breakdown of what we can expect in terms of strategy and tactical play.
That's right. So I'm going to have to bring up a map here for you guys. And we've got Ruinberg with a few little labels on it. So one of my favorite parts of Ruinberg is actually the Delta Village out here in the east. It's I favor open maps, and a lot of other teams do too, especially if they bring lighter lineups. From the north, there's actually a better jump to get out to the Delta Village than a team coming from the south who has to pass through the camping grounds, which is a series of buildings that are pretty widely spread apart, and then they can get to the Delta Village through the fields. And when they cross those fields, they actually have to travel uphill. And when they travel uphill, it slows them down. This is why the north gets a nice jump out there. And that's why I consider taking the Delta Village a nice strategy for a team that spawns on the north.
Would you say the north has an advantage on Ruinberg, or would you say it's still 50-50 based on the proximity to that village?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I actually think that the south side has a good advantage if they can play it right in the south, in the city, to the west. Taking up the south diagonal, also the church, and placing tanks in G1, there's actually a really nice bit of crossfire that a team can get, and they can even move up and into the F road. However, I do think that the north has a little bit of bias, especially because a team can go right down the middle and take up that middle, the F road, this entire length right here, that's in white here. That's the F road, and I think the north actually also gets a jump there.
Okay.
So a faster lineup from a north team can be very, very strong at taking map control.
I personally struggle with the F road. It caused me to say the F word, of course, off stream. I also want to ask a question about the K1, K2 corner. A lot of players, when I was talking to them, said that they struggle with that corner because it can oversee the flag as well as control the zero line or the one line very easily, and really block a lot of communication in terms, or sorry, block a lot of interaction between teams. How do people deal with that corner? I've been talking to some pros. They have some ideas of breaking that turtle strategy because we've seen teams play very defensive on maps like Ruinberg.
Indeed, indeed. There's I'm going to put a few spots out here. This is one not uncommon setup. That's 5 heavy tanks that I put down right there in the bottom in about K2, J2, and H1. Those are some pretty common positions, and that's this turtle strat that you were just describing. So the best way to attack that I've found is if you approach from the north, like this, you can approach from blind spot, and then as your entire team as a whole can jump on one tank while the enemy is still pointed out in numerous directions, you know, off this way, out this way, out this way, and this guy is looking off this way. You can jump on perhaps the guy on
There's
H1.
just too much for them to look at. But
yeah.
Actually, we're ready to jump into games, so let's go ahead and kick it off right in.
All right, so let's get ready into game number 1 on Ruinberg. Let's kick it off to our map intro. Starting off on Ruinberg, Ruka, what do we see in our initial movement patterns?
I'm actually seeing exactly what I was talking about. The north side taking advantage of their jump, and they're going to take the Delta Village. We've got Alexerv taking the lead on that, followed up by 2 IS-3s, and we've got T1 spreading out to cover the backfield. In the meantime, we've got 5100's Efficacy and Sloveni are actually going to take a slightly wider and safer route and still enter the Delta Village.
All right, so Elway will be the trigger right now. He's getting picked off pretty fast here. And he's definitely going to go down. Of course, he's only in a T1 against an entire army. You can't be a pub star here or there. But you know, what is the reaction? Whoa! They're just letting him go.
It's a cap fast. They don't care about that T1. They want to get to cap as soon as possible.
All right.
Get on that cap. Doc Golm's going to be in front. Hopefully, they'll put an IS-3 in front of him, and they're going to try and cap as quickly as possible.
They're not going for the screen. You can easily go across that little valley into the houses all the way on the far side, but it looks like they're just going to take their stand here.
And here they are stacking their IS-3s up against each other back to back. This is actually a well-constructed strat. They've planned this. They're going to hide laps behind them, along with Arg. And although we have Alex Zerv coming around to the back, they're still going to have to play corner games. So this is a game of focus fire.
That's right. And it looks like River of Blood is taking the advantage here. A lot of HP removed off their opponent's team. Still, oh wow, 2 tanks just went down as I
Independent and Sloveni both got themselves too exposed and went down. The IS-3 wasn't quite playing corner games the best, most efficient way, and he's gone down. So now, even though there's a bit of a flank, I'm really thinking this cap isn't going to be able to get stopped. We've got labs completely covered, and some IS-3s in a really great stack-up spot.
The counter is down. The base has been captured. Immediate first strike here for our red team. Wow, what do you believe Nerve is able to come right out of the gates with that strategy? Rukil, we spent so much time. We spent 2 minutes talking about strategies, but you didn't talk about that one.
Well, cap fast is that one's a little interesting. Cap fasts happen, but it's hard to predict when they'll happen. Usually, I expect a cap fast following a victory, a team trying to catch someone else off guard. They get a win, the other team is a little bit fractured, not quite sure of what to do. Then, cap fast. That's how you take a team that you've already beaten once and you beat them again. That's 2 wins right in a row, and in cap fast, sometimes it happens. It works pretty well.
They're going out guns blazing, though. I mean, really, really quick win right off the bat. Now, Rukil, I just want to ask you really quick, is a cap fast theoretically sound on a map like this?
This might be one of the maps that I'd say, yeah, it does. Was at least attacking the north side of the map. If you were to cap fast the south side, I'd say that was a bad idea. But the north, you had that nice big wall that they were able to stack up against. The enemy was out in that field. They were completely, they had to cross back through the open field. They didn't have any really good cover to shoot back at the guys on base. So the cap fast, which was actually really well done, those IS-3s stacking up against each other, that was really good. They protected laps very, very well.
Well, game number 1 goes to Nerve. It's a best of 5. How will River of Blood react? We'll find out after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is WGLNA.
Hey, this is Mac G from Team Simp, and you're watching World of Tanks.
That's right, Fed. You guys are watching the WGL North America World of Tanks. Guys, we just saw the first game between Nerve and River of Blood. First Blood didn't go to one of the teams that was one of the favorites of this qualifier, but went to Nerve instead, and we had a fast cap strategy. If those of you who are just coming into the stream realizing that the stream has just started a few minutes ago, that's how quick this first game is, so keep your eyes peeled because action immediately jumped right out of the gate.
Yeah, we were just talking actually on the break about how there's a lot of changing metagames on Runeberg. And I want to ask you, Rukil, tell me a little about this because we've seen a lot of, I guess, stagnant games, especially with the city being around, corner games, a little bit of trepidation going forward. But now all of a sudden we have this, that ended in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was a really fast game. The cap fasts, I mean, I'm pretty sure they predicted that. A lot of teams are trying to favor the east side because I have to agree with them. The east side's a really strong way to play. And they can return to try and stop a cap fast, but at the same time, because they left a T1 in the city, and I'm thinking most teams are more likely to leave a T1 in the city, you might see cap fast being the counter to what you expect. I mean, with the lineup that we saw out of River of Blood, maybe they made the right call and they said, cap fast will work.
Is there a possibility that that T1 could be a little bit more out to see the cap fast coming a lot sooner, and that way they can either say, okay, let's go back and defend, get better position, or we can go and cap as well, and then obviously just split the draw and just say, okay, well, we overextended our position all the way in the village. Let's not try to go into a bad position and just draw it out.
Better T1 positioning in the west could definitely improve it. I think trying to predict those cap fasts, because the best cap fast will come right along one of those routes.
Yes.
The route we just saw them come up right up the middle there, and I think if a T1 were a little more out of the way, he could have just slipped away, and maybe one of the other T1s would have had to chase him in order to deal with him, because that T1 then could continue spotting or continue to be an annoyance and actually possibly stop cap.
Yeah, retreat routes are super important in the game World of Tanks, and not only that, you don't want to really commit that for a single ward, because they could have easily just stayed there inside the city and just said, okay, I'm up to your point, let's drag this out. I have theoretically better vision than you. If I wait maybe 2 minutes, I could be anywhere on the map and gone from there. But we already have our second game ready and about to go. Talk to me a little about this, Ferdinand.
That's right. The next map that's been selected for our upcoming battle is Steps. Steps is a much more open map compared to the city map we just saw on Ruinberg. And Rukil, are you prepared to talk us through some strategies that we can see on Steps as well? Show us some more illustration.
All right, give me 2 seconds and I'll actually have that up for you. Yeah.
Well, good thing that we're getting this illustration for Rukil, because if I'd be drawing, I wouldn't know exactly where to be drawing, man. It just looked like third grade coloring class all over again.
I would make like a Ninja Turtle and be like, those everywhere inside the band, is where you want all your fights to be.
I do have to admit that when I was doing the map intros, because I was doing a bunch of free cam movements and whatnot, Steps is a pretty boring map for map intros. There's one cabin, and the editors were like, so you got a lot of good footage of Steps. I'm like, yeah, I got 15 minutes of this one cabin and a railroad track.
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually don't have Steps prepared for you guys right now, so we're going to have to skip that for now, but we can talk about it in the meantime. I mean, Steps is a really great open map, and I think it's a lot of fun to play on, especially as a scout player. If you like to play fast tanks, we're going to see probably WZ 131s, 132s maybe. Probably 132s.
I'm sorry,
but
I don't understand what you just said. Can you repeat that in American?
Oh, Wheezies is their nickname in America. WZs? Oh, come on.
You said WZ.
My apologies.
I apologize to any Europeans watching who actually say Z.
Okay.
No, I'm justifying you.
That's good. I'm not European.
It's 2v1. We're on the same team.
We're on the same team when we're against Kretor.
You're American, man.
America.
No, this guy, I understand Rukil's pain. We glasses buddies, we stick together. Man.
See? There we go.
Oh,
like this.
okay. Go on, I'm sorry.
All right.
The WZ-132.
The WZ-132 is a good tank for this map. I like the 1390 a lot, just personally, but the WZ-132 is actually one of the cool tanks because it can equip a 100mm cannon, or it can equip an 85, and it can be a choice. The 100 hits harder, is a little less accurate, and has nice gold pennant on both of the guns is so much that it's not a factor in this game. But the 85 is also a really good gun because it fires really quick, and you can get lots and lots of shots out.
What about a tank like a T-71? How does that fit into this map?
Yeah, the T-71, just like what I was talking about, the WZ-131, is a nice down-tiered tank. It's a light tank. Yeah. It's fast. Its gun is still really applicable to these matches, and its autoloader is really strong, which actually reminds me of the T-52, which is a tank I would actually usually not equip an autoloader on, can be equipped with a very nice small autoloader cannon, which I've actually seen when I was watching some of these Russian leaks the other day. They've been running those, and it's an interesting thing. I wouldn't have chosen to do that, but it's a strong choice, and I'm actually wondering if we'll see a T-52 loading one of these in imitation of the other leaks. You
know, yesterday we had a situation where we kind of talked about the French tanks, how they're great autoloaders, but they don't have great gun depression. We already see a little bit of that. 2 AMX 1390s being chosen. Talk to me a little about the French tanks and how they're going to be used on this map.
All right. Well, the 1390 used to be the staple light tank as far as Tier 8.
Sure.
Now, the WZ-132 came out with the newest Chinese line, which is the last line added to the game. But the 1390 is strong. It doesn't have great gun depression. It doesn't shoot well on the move. But at the same time, there's tons of damage in that clip. I shouldn't say tons of damage. That's someone else's game.
It's been patented by a certain other commentator.
Yeah, TM. Excuse me.
We can pay the royalties later, but continue.
All right, but yeah, it does plenty of damage in that clip. But and out of anything else that anyone would bring, I know another fast light tank. That's probably as much damage as you're gonna get. You wouldn't bring a 5100 out here. It's so big, such a huge profile on such an open map.
Well, we can already see the tank lineup already. A Lorraine 155-51 is going to be chosen for Team 1. T69, T52, or excuse me, T50-2. Two of them. Of course, T1s, AMX 1390, and it looks like they're still picking their last tank.
All right, now, Rukil, you were telling me the other day that you're very hesitant about spending so many tier points on a artillery, let alone the Lorraine, which is in this case it's 7. What's your opinion on that kind of choice right now? Yeah,
I favor smaller, being very point efficient with your artillery and bringing the smallest possible one that can do the most damage. However, some teams still like to put 7, 8 points into an artillery piece, and the Lorraine is actually a really strong one because it moves so well. It moves very fast. It has a very decent splash. A very good arc. It just is a very well-balanced kind of artillery piece. It has a little bit of everything that you want in an arty, especially the ability to move. If your arty is slow and just unable to get around the map, you're going to run into some problems later on, especially taking on light tanks, which are going to jump on your arty eventually.
We saw a lot of Object 261s being used yesterday. How is the Lorraine going to be operating differently than what we saw yesterday?
Well, actually, I'm thinking we might see something very similar to that way. The Object 261 is a Tier 8 arty that actually moves very quickly, fires very quickly, similar to the Lorraine we're seeing here. This could be considered a more point-efficient version of that Object 261. The Object 261 being so fast, having all of that little stuff, but the low arc. Slightly higher arc on the Lorraine. So that might be why they're choosing it.
All right, cool. So the last question I want to ask you, because we're about to get the last couple of picks in, is where are the areas that we're going to be seeing highly contested in steps, if any? Are teams going to is there a fast cap strategy possible on this map?
I think it's so open that you won't be able to do that. A fast cap would have to come through the middle road. It would have to come right down the middle, and generally someone, at least a T1 maybe, will spot that middle road. And teams find it easy enough to defend their own bases due to some nice hill coverage around them. Okay. Cap fast, probably not applicable, but if they pulled the one off, if a team pulled one off, I'd be really surprised.
All right, so that's going to be the first words. I did get a word from our producer that we have a correction that River of Blood actually won the previous match, which confirms why they said that they were one of the strongest teams in this qualifier. So they are up 1-0. And we apologize for that inconvenience. The teams were mislabeled. We're going to take a commercial break as we get the final tanks sorted for the WGLNA World of Tanks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to step into game number 2 between Nerve and River of Blood. River of Blood is up 1-0 in this match, and we're going to move over to steps. Let's take a look. Steps it is, as all of these players are moving out in looks like a flower formation, at least from River of Blood. We're going to see a little bit of a confrontation, though. AMX 1390, Zybe, and Alex Veer, Verve, are going to meet up with Captain Blood.
And there's your first arty shutout, and it misses Zabe by inches. We've got some at least 3 scouts out in the east from both sides, but it looks like both people are going to play at least a little bit towards the east. Yeah. I'm seeing Nerve backing off of the east, actually giving it up. I'm thinking River of Blood's going to be able to take the east, hold it, and start doing stuff with it as Nerve really gives a lot of ground here. Independent's actually making a really strong move towards the north. He might find himself caught out if he goes much further.
And with these map movements here, you see that Striker is trying to get some good scouting T50s. Currently, though, if Independent drops, what's going to really happen to the strategy of Nerve? Well,
I'm feeling like they're going to be down 8 points if they lose someone, and he is way out there. We've got 2 tanks at base still. I mean, I don't know why the medium hasn't moved up at this point, and but they are converging now. We're seeing a bit of a skirmish, and Arty's trying to see what they can do. Laps is actually up, so Arty might go down here in a second.
Whoa.
Nicely done.
Zabe taking a big hit, and he is down already. An advantage for River of Blood.
And there's that Arty going down. Counter Arty. Elway kills Laps, but Independent is completely cut off, and he's gonna get smashed.
He's absolutely crushed right here. 4v1. Still doing a good job getting out some of his shots in his clips, and it looks like, you know, everything's looking good. Alex Verve is just gonna get around here, but he's gonna retreat pretty quickly here. The kill count is 2 and 2 apiece. Looks like a small advantage, I would say. Well, I actually
Captain
don't
Blood's
know.
actually not quite down yet. You would think he is, but actually he has a sliver left. Just a sliver.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah, but only Laps is down, which means that River of Blood does not have an artillery piece, whereas Nerve still does, which means they can still play the scout game.
So right now, what can Nerve really do to pull themselves back into the match?
Well, Nerve still has an arty, so they can still do that smiting from the sky with Elway here, and he did do a good job countering that arty. So they still have a chance to do something, although River of Blood is approaching Elway, and he's going to have to start booking it. I'm not thinking he's going to be able to get away. He's going to probably sit here in this defilade, make it easier for him to shoot Doppler when he comes over, and we're going to wait for the shot.
Ooh, Doppler trying to pressure Elway, misses another shot, but here comes Savage, and Savage is just going to try to blow him up. He gets the kill,
Elway
and another
did not
swing for River of Blood.
Yep.
But around the back, it looks like Captain Blood is being focused here, but they've spent so many shots and still haven't killed him. Amarak going to take him out, and Sloveni needs to get the hell out of there, man. He is going to be surrounded. He's actually going to run into a surround. No bueno. As Captain Blood, he is getting the best RNGs, man. He is still alive with 25 hit points. Give that man a medal.
With efficacy, the last remaining member for Nerve, River of Blood, circling around like vultures to their prey. And there's not a lot of hope, is there, Rookil?
No, Efficacy's not really going to be able to pull this one out of his hat. I mean, Hazard and Striker are surrounding him, and Efficacy isn't even making his hits right now. If he could make these hits, he could maybe survive a little longer, make a good show of it, but at this point, it's pretty much over for him.
At this point, Efficacy is striking out, caught looking, not really able to land any hits as the T-52 outpaces the turret traverse speed. Game number 2 goes to River of Blood, and they are up 2-0.
Very nice for River of Blood there. After they lost that artillery piece, it was I was thinking they might not be able to pull that one together, especially if they if Nerve's artillery was able to get a few more good hits. I mean,
yeah,
not yeah.
Yeah,
but actually, I want to see how that Artie did.
The Lorraine, or not the Lorraine. Let's get back here.
Right, we can go to team score screen over on.
The Lorraine did do 422 damage. Still, I wouldn't say it's enough damage for such a heavy investment into an artillery. I mean, you need a lot more. I would say you would want to have around 1,200 to be.
Yeah, I'd consider 1,200 a pretty good number to hit for an artillery piece. But on the other side, I mean, if you look at Elway, he did 907, which actually was a good showing for him. Although at the same time, Captain Blood actually did a fantastic job that match. We didn't get to follow him enough, but in the 1390, he made a lot of hits, and you see he got a really good amount of damage. Out of 13 hits, out of 13 shots fired, he got 11 hits, which is about as many as you should expect out of a good 1390 driver.
Yeah, he played that really, really well. I would love to see actually exactly how much potential damage that could have happened to him. Potential damage received 1,900, so pretty incredible play coming out of him. And as you said, damage done 2631, shots fired, overshot direct hits 13 to 11. So everything's looking really good. A really well played AMX 1390, especially because I've played AMX 1390s. I'll do like 20 fires and like 4 hits.
Yeah,
because I don't know how the heck to play that.
Yeah, those shots go really wide. Making them count is very, very difficult. Although I wanted to point out that I was kind of disappointed in the T-52 play out of Slovenia. Right at the end, he really could have finished off that 1390.
Yeah,
and that could have been pretty huge for the team. Between a 69, some T-52s, they could have done something with that.
Yeah.
But those hits went right on over, and he has the nice fire rate out of that 57mm cannon. He could have pulled it out. But unfortunately, he missed 2 good shots that we saw there, and I was really disappointed.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to go into that position, he was over a hill, or he was about to approach a hill, going over it. He needs to either commit or don't do it at all. And of course, we saw him just have, straddling the fence a little bit too much.
That's right. Doing something is better than doing nothing. Captain Blood gets the MVP, and game number 2 is in the books. Will Nerve be able to come back? We'll find out right after this commercial break. This is WGLNA. Gentlemen's and more gentlemen's watching in the chat, thank you so much for tuning in to WGLNA. We are currently in the middle of a series between Nerve and River of Blood. River of Blood is up 2-0. It's a best of 5, so everything is on the line for Nerve. It's single elimination, so this is the only life that they have. Greetorp, what's been going on for those of you who may be tuning in and don't know what's been going on in the series?
River of Blood, just by the first 2 games, has been just outplaying their opponent's Nerve. I mean, the first game we had a very fast cap, and they were able to defend it very easily. After that, we met up on steps. There was a lot of good trades, but we saw just individual tactical play by certain players that was just outstanding, gave them the win, and that's why they're positioned right now at 2-0.
And it's been solid play. Got to give, again, props to the River of Blood for executing their strategies really well despite losing their Artie early on. Now we're going to move on to map number 3, or battle number 3 on Angst. And Rookil's been setting up his telestration abilities and is ready to give us the throwdown.
Yep, I'm ready to show you guys all about my map here. All right, so Ensk is split into 2 parts. We've got the train tracks right here down the middle, which is quite a lane to be caught in if you find yourself pushing down. So generally most teams consider it to be a really poor place to go. I prefer to go to the field, but many teams still go towards the city and will take up positions.
You're a nature man, aren't you?
I love the fields. I'm a scout player. Take up some nice positions, D1 maybe on those corners, and there's 2 windows here and here. Those are really good spots. You have a nice view all the way down to other windows here right next to the track field. It's actually 2 windows almost parallel to each other like that.
So lots of peeking that we can
Oh
expect.
yeah, you've got some nice windows there. The from the south though, you can expect a team to also not go to the tracks. But there is a nice little spot that I'll talk to you guys about where you can go through the tracks and actually find yourself into the east side of the map. Some teams will use that in order to spot teams that come across right across the north here, crossing those tracks.
There's some really nice bushes there too, right?
There is one good
bush.
There's
like right next to the train tracks, I think there are like some nice bushes where you can plug a T1
there.
and you can see. Yeah,
right about there. We could stick a
exactly?
Team 1. That's about Echo 7. Right there in Echo 7. If you put a T1 right in that bush, he could see some stuff. However, he won't be able to escape, so I generally wouldn't recommend trying to find yourself into that bush without some really strong support.
Gotcha.
Yep.
A couple T1s already picked for these teams. Let's take a look at the train room to see the progress of tank selection. We can see a couple T1s, an IS-3, as well as 5100. Pretty standard picks. Angst is a map where we see these generic, the usual 15 that we see, right? The T-69s, the IS-3s. Is there any other tanks that you can really feel that can pretty much change it up? It's kind of unconventional here.
As far as changing it up, I would think someone could bring maybe a KV-5. A KV-5 would be a really strong pick here if you wanted to hit up the west side of the map, the city. The KV-5 with some nice, with some good play, strong reverse angling on some of those corners, you could absorb quite a few shots, put out some good damage while you're doing that, and other tanks like IS-3s, 5100s might have a little trouble with you.
You might be asking yourself, why aren't we using the 1390? All of a sudden we switch to a 50-100. 1390s, normally really, really fast. They're light tanks. You want to use those in open areas. We don't really have too much open area in
Not quite enough on this map. Maybe a T-52 would be a good tank, but 1390, that's a few too many points maybe into a light tank for this match.
Explain to everybody why 50-100.
The 5100, this whole map is actually pretty nice and flat. There's only one small area in the far east where you actually get some nice, where you get some rocky terrain that's hard to find yourself with a proper angle in every single enemy that you'll engage. The west side of the map, it's pretty much entirely flat. You're never going to have trouble getting your shots on target. So that's why 5100s, as opposed to maybe a 1390, which you'd use for a field, is really popular.
Not to mention the incredible significant boost of penetration and damage.
Oh, of course.
The auto load absolutely is massive.
Yeah.
As we've been seeing a huge prevalence of auto loaders in almost all of high-level World of Tanks.
Exactly.
Of course, the IS-3 is not an auto loader, but it's still one of the strongest Tier 8 tanks that we've seen. So far, going back into the picking, we do have a little switch up. There is going to be an arty used, a Tier 3 arty. Now,
Strong Panzer II. It's just like the Bison that we've seen before, tier higher, and it's a little bit better in a few ways. So it is a good choice of a tank. They're picking it because I'm actually wondering what their other tank's going to be. We're going to have to wait and see what points they're going to trade off.
Do you think we can have a situation where we have a... Nope, we can't. Never mind. I was going to say potentially something like a Storm Panzer and a Bison.
On opposite teams? And
No, on the same team.
Oh, you can make that lineup happen.
I've seen Fulcrum do that.
Yeah, you have seen Fulcrum do it, and they did it, and they succeeded rather well.
No, so that question was a bait.
Bait. I just baited you.
You just baited me into complimenting Fulcrum.
Normally I would come in, I'd end you with the uppercut, but he just did the jab, and I didn't follow through.
Well,
I apologize, Creed.
But is there a chance we might see the Bison being picked up here? That's what I was alluding to.
Oh, I see. Don't know. We could. I mean, with Captain Blood and a T-52, we've got points for a Bison here.
Oh, well, currently we have 40 points decided for River of Blood. We have two
there it is,
and it's the Bison.
There we go. We could have seen probably a T2 light or a Bison, and they picked a Bison. This is let's see. 5100, 5100, IS-3, T-69, and a TAC-2 with 2 arty. This looks like they could be doing the same strat, so we're going to see them probably go off to the east into that field. And on the other side, we've got IS-3. We actually had a 1390 from Independent, so we could actually see 2 field strats with a different approach for each.
This is the first time we're actually seeing 2 arties in a battle. Talk to me a little bit about the positioning, because I have to feel that is one of the most important things when you run 2 Arties.
Both the Strompanzer II and the Bison don't have the longest range. Now, Ensk isn't the biggest map ever, so it's not going to be a huge problem later in the game, but they're going to have to spread out their arty to make sure that they have plenty of fields of fire and their arty can reach any target on the map. If enemies are, you know, if they split them off, sending one way far north and one as far south as they can, they're going to have, and they're going to be able to put shots on any target within where their heavies reasonably should be.
Sure.
But if we see them actually, both teams cross the tracks, they'll probably meet around the same location right there in that wood yard that we saw. And over in the lumber yard, you're actually, I think the arty could really do some serious damage.
I completely agree, and I'm going to have to say that Captain Blood will have to be the MVP. Getting that spot of T-52 play will be incredibly vital, considering that we have the huge heavy-hitting tanks for Nerve.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to actually illustrate something for you guys real quick.
Because
I wanted to show you. I thought maybe,
different.
you know, the lumberyard, I was describing it, but I need to show you. Right out here in the east, the lumberyard, and right on the EF line here, I'm expecting both teams to come on in here, and we're going to see Bison go out to the far east. Now, you're going to have to remind me which side everyone's spawning on, but we'd see a Bison in the north go to about A0, and a Bison in the south would probably hit up the forest. There's some nice houses in K0 to hide behind. Both Bisons can get some nice cover there, shoot over that cover and stay safe. They can also get some nice shots on any corners that would be exposed to that angle. You think of it.
West control is going to be super pivotal, I would say, for River of Blood.
Yeah, bringing that T1, I'm expecting there's going to be some kind of engagement in our game.
Okay.
One of the T1s will come out on top. Well, actually, wait. We
no,
don't have a Bison.
There are no T1s.
Yeah, there will be a T1 that comes out there. He might be able to get into the backfield and do a fast cap if, who is that, River of Blood overextends himself.
Okay, River of Blood will be starting out on the southern side, and most of the rolls, the randomness, draws them all the way in the southeastern side, so their ability to go over to the west isn't as good, but let's step into Ensk.
That's right. Let's get ready for game number 3 on Ensk. Let's pull up the mini-map and really start looking at movements. Rukyo, let's break it down. What's happening? Are people heading towards the field?
Yep, we've got every member up north here heading off to the field. Efficacy, Independent actually leading the way in is 1390. I'm really liking how that's looking. And Nerve is looking to take some control. That bush you were talking about a minute ago, that was a good hiding spot. He might decide to go into it, but it looks like he might decide not to. Actually, he's going to turn around, and we're going to see Zabe and Sloveni start to look down that same lane. They're expecting someone to come out, and we've actually got Alex Irv. He's in the train tracks right now, so he is a bit exposed if he gets spotted. He's not going to have much of a place to run to, but we're seeing a decent spread. And actually, Efficacy was spotted out.
Yeah, he was spotted and immediately got shot out. There was a small little chunk of HP that was taken off, but they know now the AMX 50-100 and 2 IS-3s just popped out into vision. T-52 is able to see that. Let's see if we get any shots from those arties.
Captain Blood's going to be able to get away from this. Alex, though, is waiting, stopping, waiting for a shot. If Captain Blood turns left, he could take a hit, but no, he's not.
Oh.
Actually, we're going to begin the engagement now. Striker's backing off here, and Hazard takes a shot at Independent, but actually bounces. Hazard actually bouncing, shooting gold rounds in a 50-100, bouncing off a 1390. That's just some bad luck right there.
Yeah.
Oh, Captain Blood trying to go for a flank. Keep in mind that this is all to protect the double arty for River of Blood. Efficacy taking a lot of hits, almost down to 50% health. Captain Blood getting good spots on Nerve right now.
Yep, Captain Blood's actually getting a lot of shots off. He's doing a surprising amount of damage, and as long as River of Blood can delay this game, they can get their arty to put shots on target. So all they have to do is draw this out. Their arty's going to be able to do plenty of work. But Independent's actually going to begin flanking here, and he's going to come out on the east side, and he's going to begin putting shots on Savagey, who just...
Oh, Savagey being able to take him out. Independent also spotted. That can't be good. 2 down for Nerve. That's a 7-5 lead currently, and Slovenian might be up next.
The only thing here is Hazard and Savage might be clipping at this point, so there might be a small little window that that they can take advantage of. But still,
only Alex Irv and Efficacy are left, so I'm not sure. They're not going to be able to put enough damage until some autoloaders reload. Striker's getting a nice shot on Alex there while he's looking the opposite direction, and Hazard's actually coming around, which makes me think he might have a shot up in just a second. I'd give it maybe 20 seconds until he's ready. And
I give it about 2 seconds for Alex Irv to survive this. Captain Blood is going to flank around, getting nice shots all game long, just like you were saying, Lukill. This is fantastic play from River Blood.
I love that T50-2 play. It was so well done. Lit everybody up on top that's still staying alive and taking it home for the team. Only 2 tier 1s left, and they're going to be all the way in the northern area.
Yeah, they really didn't do much in this whole match. They probably could have been used to at least absorb a shell or two, but but they just sat in the back the whole time. Even while we saw Captain Blood in that TAC 2 in the fight, every tank of Nerve not in the fight there. River Blood having everyone, Nerve leaving 2 T1s. That's 2 points out.
Absolutely, and you can still use their carcasses as a way to hold down.
Exactly, that is a great way to hold down, and it can be pushed around, so it is mobile cover.
Correct. So I think that's so valuable that they weren't able to use that.
Both misses on Nervy here, Doc Golem and Hazard. Come on, guys, make your shots count.
At this point, you're just playing for the stats, as 7 are down, which means no cap necessary. River of Blood sweeps it away on the back of great play. Fantastic, and congratulations as they move on to the round of 32. That was a game that was supposed to happen yesterday, and now we are officially going to have River of Blood versus Chimera coming up next. Ruki, let's go ahead and revisit that. Let's pull up that map again to Tellerstrate and talk about a little bit of the map movement. What went so wrong? Because it seemed like Nerve was charging down the train tracks as you were emphasizing it so much. Yep. They were being really aggressive. Did they just fall straight into the palm of River Blood? Were they expecting that?
Well, from the north, I wouldn't have said going down the train tracks was actually the smartest idea. I would have said going around to the outside would have been the best idea. But we had a bunch of tanks all up in about the G78, H78 area. They were grouped up, ready to go, and we actually had Artie out here in the east. They were able to get some nice shots in on the targets, but I mean, the team fight wasn't fast enough. They didn't focus fire. They could have gone in there more aggressively, and the Bison's Strumpanzer might have been less effective in that match.
Yeah, but I have to really ask, what type of strategy would Nerve be beating doing that line? Because I have to feel when you are running 2 Arties like that, you're going to be a little bit extra defensive. You want stagnation. You want to get as many of those fires off, meaning a lot more time in the game than anything else. So you are going to take that very cautious step while you're stepping over to the west-hand side. Does the line that Nerve took accomplish anything to really take advantage of the lineup?
They could have caught them off guard. That was what I was thinking. Maybe they could have caught them off guard, but you saw Captain Blood get a really nice spot there. He lit up some tanks as they were moving down the line. That exposed them. We saw one of the 5100s take a hit. At that point, they probably should have stopped, backed off, and tried to reevaluate the situation and their entire approach. They didn't do that, so we see that they walked in with less health, and it didn't work out in their favor.
Well, if you can look at the damage report, the story tells it all. Great balanced damage, all from River of Blood, and well, I guess Dopper was there for the tier points to make sure it matches up. I'm just playing Dopper. You were also a valuable member. Only 1 member from River of Blood going down that entire game. I gotta say, man, Striker was able to absorb some good damage and was able to position himself perfectly while being able to isolate 1v1 engagements, finishing off, not necessarily being able to kill an opponent, but finishing off lots of plays by being able to initiate lots of damage. Great job, again, by River of Blood. We're going to take a commercial break as we get ready for our next match. It's going to be Chimera versus River of Blood. If you're fans of them, we'll keep watching because more is coming up next. This is WGLNA. Don't go anywhere.